The rain hammered against Tyler Bennett's leather jacket as he pulled his Yamaha into the dimly lit parking lot behind the old Roosevelt Shopping Center in northeast Portland. It was nearly 11 o'clock on a Thursday night in mid-December, and the temperature had dropped to a bone-chilling 38 degrees. His breath formed small clouds in the frigid air as he killed the engine and removed his helmet, shaking off the water that had accumulated on its surface. Tyler had been making deliveries for 6 hours straight, crisscrossing the city from the Pearl District to Beaumont, Wilshire, dropping off restaurant orders to people warm and comfortable in their homes. His hands were numb despite the insulated gloves, and his lower back ached from the constant vibration of the motorcycle. At 34, he felt older than his years, worn down by 2 years of financial struggle since his divorce from Jennifer and the loss of his mechanic job at Davidson's Auto Repair when the shop closed due to corporate consolidation. The parking lot was nearly empty, save for a rusted Chevy Silverado near the dumpsters and a handful of vehicles clustered near the grocery store entrance. Tyler parked under the overhang of a closed hardware store, seeking shelter from the relentless downpour. He pulled out his phone to check his earnings for the night. $143 before gas and maintenance costs, barely enough to cover his studio apartment rent in the Foster Powell neighborhood and the $400 monthly child support for his 8-year-old son, Mason, whom he only saw every other weekend. As Tyler stretched his stiff legs and contemplated grabbing a cheap coffee from the 7-Eleven across the street, movement near the shopping carts caught his attention. At first, he thought it was a large plastic bag tumbling in the wind, but then he noticed it was too deliberate, too human. He squinted through the rain-streaked darkness and saw a small figure crouched between 2 shopping carts, partially hidden by cardboard boxes. "Hey!" Tyler called out, his voice rough from exhaustion. "You okay over there?" The figure flinched and pressed deeper into the shadows. Tyler hesitated, weighing his exhaustion against his conscience. Portland nights in December were dangerous for anyone, but especially for someone small and alone. He swung his leg off the motorcycle and walked slowly toward the shopping carts, holding his hands visible and non-threatening. "I'm not gonna hurt you," he said quietly. "It's freezing out here. Are you lost?" As he drew closer, the overhead security light flickered on, triggered by motion, and Tyler saw her clearly for the first time. She was a girl, no older than 9 or 10, with dark brown hair plastered to her face by rain. She wore a pink hoodie that was soaked through jeans and white sneakers that were completely muddy. Her arms were wrapped around a small backpack covered in unicorn stickers, and her eyes, wide and terrified, stared up at him like a cornered animal. "Please don't call him," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Please don't tell him where I am." Tyler crouched down to her level, maintaining distance. "Call who? Who are you running from?" "My stepdad," she said, tears mixing with the rain on her cheeks. "I can't go back. I can't." Tyler felt his stomach tighten. He'd heard enough horror stories about abuse cases, seen enough true crime documentaries to know that children didn't run away in December rainstorms for trivial reasons. But he also knew that getting involved could mean complications he couldn't afford. Police reports, court appearances, time away from work he desperately needed. "What's your name?" he asked gently. "Hannah. Hannah Mitchell." "Okay, Hannah. I'm Tyler. How long have you been out here?" She shrugged, shivering violently. "Since after school. I took the bus to different places, walked around, and then came here because I didn't know where else to go." Tyler did the math. That meant at least 7 hours in the cold and rain. Her lips had a faint bluish tint, and her hands were shaking uncontrollably. Whatever was going on, whatever complicated situation he was about to step into, he couldn't leave a child to freeze. "Listen, Hannah, I need to get you somewhere warm," Tyler said. "There's a diner 2 blocks from here. We can go there, get you something hot to drink, and figure out what to do. Does that sound okay?" Hannah studied him with suspicious eyes, the learned wariness of someone who'd been disappointed by adults before. "You won't call the police?" "Not unless you want me to," Tyler said, though he wasn't sure he could keep that promise. "But we need to get you dry and warm first. You could get hypothermia out here." After a long moment, Hannah nodded slowly. Tyler removed his leather jacket and draped it over her shoulders. It swallowed her small frame like a tent. He helped her to her feet, noting how unsteady she was, and guided her toward his motorcycle. He hadn't given anyone a ride in months, not since Jennifer took Mason on the bike to a park and swore she'd never get on it again after Tyler had to swerve to avoid a distracted driver. "Ever been on a motorcycle?" Tyler asked. Hannah shook her head, eyes wide. "It's safe, I promise. Just hold on to me, okay?" He secured her backpack in his storage compartment, helped her onto the seat behind him, and handed her his spare helmet. Slightly too large, but better than nothing. As he started the engine, he felt her small arms wrapped tightly around his waist, her body still trembling. The ride to Rosie's diner took less than 5 minutes, but Tyler felt every second of Hannah's grip, every tremble of her cold body pressed against his back. When they pulled into the brightly lit parking lot, he felt a strange relief, as if delivering her here was delivering himself from some invisible burden. Inside, the diner smelled of coffee, bacon grease, and maple syrup. An older waitress named Pauline, whose name tag was half obscured by a Christmas pin, looked up from wiping down the counter and raised an eyebrow at the sight of Tyler and the small, drenched girl trailing behind him. "Booth in the back?" Pauline asked, her tone suggesting she'd seen stranger things during late-night shifts. "Please," Tyler said. They slid into a vinyl booth near the restrooms, and Pauline brought over 2 menus and a pot of hot chocolate without being asked. Hannah wrapped her small hands around the mug and drank deeply, her eyes closing in relief as warmth spread through her body. Tyler ordered a grilled cheese sandwich for her and coffee for himself, his 4th of the night, but his first chance to actually sit and drink it. As Hannah ate with desperate hunger, Tyler watched her carefully, trying to piece together the situation. "Hannah," he said quietly, leaning forward, "I need you to tell me what happened. Why did you run away?" She set down her sandwich and looked at him, her eyes older than her years. "Do you believe kids when they tell you things? Or do you think they make stuff up?" "Depends on the kid and the thing," Tyler said honestly. "But I'm listening." Hannah reached for her backpack, which Tyler had placed beside her in the booth, and unzipped it. Inside, among crumpled homework assignments, a water bottle, and a worn teddy bear, she pulled out a manila folder bulging with papers. "I found these in Derek's office," she said. "Derek Morrison. He's my stepdad. My mom married him 2 years ago after my real dad died in a car accident." Tyler's chest tightened at the mention of her father's death, but he remained silent, letting her continue. "Derek is a real estate agent," Hannah continued. "A really successful one. He has this big office downtown with his name on the window. Everyone thinks he's so great, so smart. But I found these papers 3 weeks ago when I was looking for colored pencils in his desk." She pushed the folder across the table toward Tyler. He hesitated, sensing that opening this folder would change something fundamental, would pull him into waters far deeper than he intended. But Hannah's pleading eyes left him no choice. Inside were photocopied documents, eviction notices, property deeds, email printouts, and bank statements. Tyler's background as a mechanic didn't prepare him for legal documents, but even he could see irregularities. There were eviction notices dated for properties that showed different owners on the deed copies. There were email exchanges discussing accelerated displacement strategies and maximizing turnover profit margins. There were bank transfers for amounts that seemed disconnected from any legitimate real estate transaction. And then Tyler saw something that made his blood run cold. An address he recognized, 4237 SE Hawthorne Boulevard, Unit 12, his old apartment. The place he'd been evicted from 8 months ago when his landlord sold the building, and the new owner claimed extensive renovations were needed, forcing out all tenants with 30 days' notice. Tyler had lost his security deposit, had to scramble for a cheaper place, had to move Mason's belongings to a smaller room during his custody weekends. "This address," Tyler said, his voice tight. "I lived here. I was evicted from this building." Hannah's eyes widened. "Really?" "Yeah, last April. The landlord said the building was sold and the new owner was renovating. I lost my deposit, had to move to a crappy studio across town." Tyler's hands trembled as he flipped through more pages, seeing other addresses he recognized from his delivery routes. Buildings in Beaumont, Wilshire, Grant Park and Roseway, all in gentrifying neighborhoods where property values were climbing. "Portland, Derek does this," Hannah said quietly. "He works with property investors who buy buildings with rent-controlled apartments. Then they force people out with fake renovation notices or made-up violations. Once everyone's gone, they renovate and rent the apartments for way more money. Derek gets a commission every time. He brags about it to my mum, says he's optimizing property potential. But I heard him on the phone once laughing about families having to move into their cars." Tyler felt rage building in his chest, hot and dangerous. He'd spent months blaming himself for not having enough savings, for not fighting the eviction harder, for failing to provide stability for Mason. And all along, it had been a calculated scheme by people like Derek Morrison, people who saw families as obstacles to profit margins. "Why did you run away tonight?" Tyler asked, his voice strained. Hannah's eyes filled with tears. "Because Derek found out. I took the folder. I didn't understand everything at first. I just thought the papers looked important. But I started Googling some of the addresses and saw news articles about people being evicted. I realized Derek was doing something bad. Tonight at dinner, he asked me if I'd been in his office. I lied and said no, but he didn't believe me. After my mom went to bed, he came to my room and told me that if I ever took anything from his office again, he'd make sure I regretted it. He didn't yell or hit me, but the way he looked at me..." She trailed off, shuddering. Tyler understood. Some threats didn't need volume or violence to convey absolute seriousness. "So I waited until everyone was asleep, packed my backpack and left," Hannah finished. "I didn't know where to go. I just knew I couldn't stay there." Tyler sat back in the booth, his mind racing. He held in his hands evidence of fraud, possibly criminal conspiracy, that had directly harmed him and countless other families. This could be his chance for justice, for vindication, for proving that his financial collapse wasn't due to his own failures. But using this information meant putting Hannah in an impossible position, betraying her stepfather, potentially destroying her mother's marriage, possibly breaking apart her family. "Hannah," Tyler said carefully, "does your mom know about any of this?" "I don't think so," Hannah said. "She works as a nurse at Emmanuel Hospital. She's always tired, always stressed. Derek handles all the money stuff. She just thinks he's really good at his job." Tyler looked at the folder again, then at the frightened girl across from him. He thought about Mason, about how he'd feel if someone put his son in a position where he had to choose between family loyalty and doing the right thing. He thought about all the families displaced by Derek Morrison's schemes, about the moral weight of staying silent versus speaking up. "We need to call your mom," Tyler said finally. "She's probably terrified right now, wondering where you are." "No!" Hannah's voice rose, causing Pauline to glance over from the counter. "She'll make me go back. She'll make me give the folder to Derek." "She's your mother, Hannah. Whatever Derek did, whatever he's doing, she deserves to know you're safe." Tyler pulled out his phone. "What's her number?" Hannah stared at him with betrayed eyes, but she recited the number quietly. Tyler dialed, his heart pounding. The phone rang twice before a woman's frantic voice answered. "Hello, who is this?" "Mrs. Morrison, my name is Tyler Bennett. I'm with your daughter Hannah. She's safe." The sound that came through the phone was something between a sob and a gasp. Oh my God, where is she? Is she hurt? I've been calling the police, calling everyone. She's fine, just cold and scared. We're at Rosie's Diner on Northeast Sandy Boulevard. She's had some hot chocolate and food. I found her in a parking lot about an hour ago. I'm coming right now. Don't move. Please don't let her go anywhere. The line went dead. Tyler set down his phone and looked at Hannah. She had pulled the teddy bear from her backpack and was clutching it tightly, tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry, Tyler said softly, but you're 9 years old. You can't spend the night in parking lots no matter what's going on at home. Your mum needs to know you're okay. You don't understand, Hannah whispered. Derek always wins. He's so good at making people believe him. He'll say I'm lying, that I'm making up stories because I don't like him. And my mom will believe him because he's her husband and I'm just a kid. Tyler wanted to argue, to promise that the truth would prevail, that adults would do the right thing. But he'd lived long enough to know that wasn't always true. People with money and influence often did win. The system often did fail, and children often weren't believed. 20 minutes later, the diner door burst open and a woman rushed in, her scrubs still visible under a hastily thrown-on coat. Christine Mitchell Morrison was in her early 40s, with brown hair pulled into a messy ponytail and eyes rimmed red from crying. She spotted Hannah in the booth and ran over, pulling her daughter into a fierce embrace. Oh my baby, Christine sobbed, holding Hannah tightly. I thought something terrible happened to you. I thought I'd lost you. Hannah remained stiff in her mother's arms, not returning the embrace. Christine pulled back, noticing her daughter's resistance, and looked at Tyler for the first time. Thank you, she said, her voice thick with emotion. Thank you so much for keeping her safe and calling me. I don't know what I would have done if... She couldn't finish the sentence. She's a brave kid, Tyler said, but she was in rough shape when I found her. Been out in the cold for hours. Christine turned back to Hannah, cupping her daughter's face in her hands. Why did you run away, sweetheart? What happened? Did you and Derek have a fight? Hannah glanced at Tyler, then at the folder still sitting on the table. Tyler saw the moment of decision in her eyes, whether to tell her mother everything or to retreat into silence. Mom, Hannah said quietly, Derek threatened me. Christine's expression shifted from relief to confusion to alarm. What? No, honey. Derek would never... He did, Mom. Because I found these. Hannah pushed the folder toward her mother. I found them in his office. And when he realized they were missing, he came to my room and told me I'd regret it if I ever took anything from his office again. Christine opened the folder, her eyes scanning the documents with growing bewilderment. I don't understand. These are just work papers, property documents. They're evidence of illegal evictions, Tyler said, his voice harder than he intended. Your husband is working with property investors to force families out of rent-controlled apartments so they can renovate and jack up the prices. I know because I was one of the families he displaced. My address is in that folder. Christine looked up at Tyler, her face pale. That's not possible. Derek helps people find homes. He's a successful real estate agent. He would never... Look at the dates on the eviction notices compared to the deed transfers, Tyler said, leaning forward. Look at the email exchanges about displacement strategies. Your daughter understood what she was seeing, even if she didn't know all the legal terminology. She knew it was wrong. Christine's hands shook as she flipped through the pages, her nursing training kicking in as she approached the documents with analytical precision. Tyler could see the moment comprehension dawned, the way her face crumpled with the weight of realization. No, she whispered. No, Derek wouldn't. He's been so good to us, so supportive. He helped me pay off my student loans. He bought us a house in West Lynn. He treats Hannah like his own daughter. Mom, he threatened me, Hannah repeated, her voice breaking. He scared me. That's why I ran." Christine closed the folder and pressed her palms against her eyes, her breathing ragged. The diner had gone quiet, even Pauline pretending to be busy with inventory to give them privacy. "We need to go home," Christine finally said. "We need to talk to Derek, all of us together. There must be an explanation." "Mrs. Morrison," Tyler interjected, "with all due respect, if your daughter is telling you she felt threatened, maybe going straight home isn't the best." "He's my husband," Christine snapped, her grief turning to defensive anger. "I'm not going to blow up my family based on a folder of documents I don't fully understand and my daughter's interpretation of a conversation. We're going home. We're going to talk to Derek, and we're going to sort this out. Thank you for finding Hannah, Mr. Bennett, but this is a family matter now." She stood, pulling Hannah up with her. Tyler stood too, frustration and helplessness warring in his chest. "At least keep the folder," Tyler said. "Don't let him know she still has it. And if you need someone to verify what those documents mean, talk to a lawyer. A real one, not one Derek knows." Christine hesitated, then nodded curtly. She picked up the folder and tucked it under her arm. Hannah looked back at Tyler as her mother guided her toward the door, her eyes filled with despair and resignation. Tyler felt like he was watching her walk back into a trap, but he had no legal right to stop it, no authority to intervene further. As they left, Pauline approached the table with the check. "That was something," she said quietly. "Kid like that, smart enough to know when something's wrong. Most people don't want to hear it, though. Truth's inconvenient." Tyler paid the bill and left a generous tip he couldn't afford. He walked back to his motorcycle in the rain, which had softened to a steady drizzle. As he put on his helmet and started the engine, he felt the weight of the encounter settling over him like a physical burden. He'd stumbled into something significant, something that connected to his own suffering and loss. But he'd also given the evidence back to a woman who might not have the courage or willingness to act on it. And he'd sent a frightened child back into a home where she felt unsafe. As Tyler rode through the empty Portland streets, past the darkened storefronts and rain-slicked pavement, he couldn't shake the image of Hannah's eyes, couldn't silence the voice in his head asking if he'd done the right thing. The truth was out there now, unfolded and examined, but Tyler had no idea if it would change anything at all. 3 days passed with no word from Hannah or her mother, and Tyler found himself obsessively checking his phone between deliveries, hoping for some update. The encounter had awakened something in him that he'd thought long dead, a sense of purpose beyond mere survival. For 2 years, he'd been operating on autopilot, moving from delivery to delivery, paycheck to paycheck, weekend to weekend with Mason. But Hannah's discovery had reminded him that his eviction wasn't random bad luck. It was the result of human greed and calculated cruelty, and now he had proof. On Saturday afternoon, Tyler sat in the cramped playground of Ventura Park in the Foster Powell neighborhood, watching Mason play on the swing set with 2 other kids. At 8 years old, his son was all energy and questions, his sandy brown hair perpetually messy, his jeans perpetually grass-stained. These custody weekends were Tyler's only respite from the grinding loneliness of his delivery schedule, the only time he felt like more than just a failure. "Dad, watch this!" Mason called out, pumping his legs to swing higher. "I'm watching!" Tyler called back, forcing enthusiasm into his voice despite his distraction. His phone buzzed in his pocket. An unknown number. Tyler answered cautiously. "Hello? Mr. Bennett? This is Christine Morrison. We met at the diner on Thursday night." Tyler sat up straighter, his heart rate accelerating. "Yes, Mrs. Morrison. How's Hannah?" There was a long pause, filled with background noise, traffic, wind, the ambient sounds of being outdoors. "She's with my sister right now, in Seattle. I sent her there yesterday because I needed time to process everything without Derek knowing where she is." "You believe her then?" Tyler asked. "I confronted Derek the night I brought her home. Christine said, her voice hollow. At first, he denied everything, said Hannah misunderstood what she saw, that the documents were taken out of context. But I pushed, Mr. Bennett. I stayed up all night going through his computer, his files, his phone records. And I found more, so much more. Tyler gripped the phone tighter. What did you find? Email chains going back 2 years. Text messages with investors planning which buildings to target. Spreadsheets calculating profit margins from displacement. And worst of all, I found recordings Derek made of phone calls with landlords, coaching them on how to force out tenants without breaking laws technically. He's been running this operation systematically, targeting buildings in neighborhoods where property values are rising. Jesus, Tyler muttered. Did you go to the police? I went to a lawyer first, Christine said. A family law attorney I know from the hospital. She reviewed the documents and said what Derek's doing falls into a gray area legally. Some of it's fraud, some of it's just unethical business practices. She recommended I contact a tenant rights organization and a district attorney's office that handles real estate fraud. But she also warned me that prosecutions in cases like this are complicated. Derek has resources, connections. He could drag this out for years. So, what are you going to do? Tyler asked. I'm filing for divorce, Christine said flatly. I've already moved out of our house in West Lynn. I'm staying with a friend, and Hannah will come back from Seattle in a few days once I have a restraining order in place. But Mr. Bennett, the reason I'm calling is because I need your help. Tyler watched Mason jump off the swing and race toward the slide. What kind of help? The lawyer said the case against Derek would be stronger if we had victims willing to testify. People who were displaced by his schemes and suffered financial harm as a result. Your address was in the folder. If you're willing to share your story, to document what happened to you, it could help build a case. Tyler's mind reeled. For 2 years, he'd been invisible, just another struggling divorced dad in a city full of struggling people. The idea that his experience mattered, that his suffering could be validated and used to hold someone accountable, was both thrilling and terrifying. I'd have to take time off work, Tyler said slowly. Time I can't really afford. And if this drags out, like you said, it could be months or years of depositions, court appearances. I know, Christine said. I know it's asking a lot. But you're the first person I've found from that folder, the first real person who can put a face and a story to what Derek did. Without voices like yours, he just keeps getting away with it. More families keep getting displaced. Tyler looked at Mason, now balanced precariously at the top of the slide, fearless and trusting that the world would catch him if he fell. Tyler wanted to build a world where that trust was justified, where people like Derek Morrison didn't prey on families just trying to survive. I'll do it, Tyler said. I'll help however I can. He heard Christine's exhale of relief through the phone. Thank you so much. I'll have the lawyer contact you early next week to get your statement. And Mr. Bennett, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what Derek did to you. I'm sorry I didn't know. I should have paid more attention to his business, should have asked harder questions. I was just so grateful to have financial stability after my first husband died that I didn't want to look too closely at how Derek achieved it. You're looking now, Tyler said. That's what matters. After they hung up, Tyler sat in the playground feeling the December wind cut through his jacket. He'd committed himself to something that would consume time, energy, and emotional resources he wasn't sure he possessed. But he'd also chosen something over nothing, action over passivity. For the first time in 2 years, he felt like he was moving forward rather than just treading water. Dad, I'm hungry. Mason appeared at his side, cheeks flushed from running. All right, buddy, let's get some lunch. They walked to a nearby taco truck, and Tyler splurged on 2 carne asada tacos for himself and chicken tacos for Mason, along with horchata drinks they shared. As they ate at a wooden picnic table covered in carved initials and graffiti, Mason chatted about school, about his best friend Jacob, about the upcoming winter break. Mom says we're going to her boyfriend's cabin for Christmas, Mason mentioned casually between bites. Tyler's stomach clenched. Jennifer had been dating someone for 6 months, a corporate accountant named Brad, who owned property in Bend and drove a Tesla. Tyler had met him once during a custody exchange, had shaken his hand and smiled while internally cataloging all the ways Brad represented everything Tyler wasn't: financially stable, professionally successful, able to provide vacations and security. "That'll be fun," Tyler said, keeping his voice neutral. "Mountains are beautiful in winter." "Will you be alone for Christmas?" Mason asked, his young face suddenly concerned. "I'll be fine, buddy. I might pick up some extra delivery shifts, make some good money." It was a lie. The thought of spending Christmas alone in his studio apartment, eating takeout while other families celebrated, was devastating. But he wouldn't burden Mason with that truth. "You could come with us," Mason suggested earnestly. "I bet Mom wouldn't mind." Tyler smiled despite the ache in his chest. "That's sweet of you, but I think that's your time with Mom. We'll celebrate when you come to my place the weekend after Christmas. Maybe we'll get a little tree and watch those stop-motion Christmas movies you like. The old ones with the weird animation." "Those are classics, show some respect," Tyler teased, ruffling his son's hair. After lunch, they returned to Tyler's studio apartment, where Mason immediately gravitated to the small collection of toys Tyler kept in a plastic bin under the window. The apartment was sparse, a futon that served as both couch and Tyler's bed, a tiny kitchenette with a hot plate and mini-fridge, a bathroom barely large enough to turn around in. When Mason stayed over, Tyler slept on the floor and gave him the futon, but his son never complained about the cramped quarters. Tyler didn't know if that was resilience or just a child's adaptability to dysfunction. As Mason built an elaborate Lego structure on the floor, Tyler's phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from an unknown number. "Mr. Bennett, this is Hannah Mitchell. I got your number from my mom. I'm sorry for getting you involved in all this. I hope you're okay." Tyler stared at the message, surprised by the girl's thoughtfulness. He typed back, "Hannah, you didn't get me involved. Your stepdad did that when he evicted me. You were brave to speak up. How are you doing?" The reply came quickly. "I'm okay. I'm at my aunt's house in Seattle. She has 2 dogs and a cat, so that's cool. But I feel bad about everything. My mom is really sad." "Your mom is sad because she learned something difficult about someone she trusted. That's not your fault. You told the truth, and that's always the right thing to do." "Do you really think so? Even when it breaks everything?" Tyler glanced at Mason, happily absorbed in his Legos, oblivious to the adult complexities swirling around him. He thought about all the times he'd stayed silent in his own life. At the auto shop when he saw corners being cut, in his marriage when he felt Jennifer pulling away, during his eviction when he suspected something was wrong but didn't fight back. Silence had never protected him. It had only made him complicit in his own losses. "Yes," Tyler wrote back. "Even then. Sometimes breaking broken things is the only way to build something better." There was a long pause before Hannah responded, "Thank you for not leaving me in that parking lot. I was really scared." "You're welcome. Take care of yourself, Hannah. And give those dogs some extra pets from me." Tyler set down his phone and joined Mason on the floor, helping him construct a Lego spaceship. For the rest of the weekend, he pushed thoughts of Derek Morrison and legal battles to the back of his mind, focusing entirely on being present for his son. They played games, watched movies, and on Sunday morning, Tyler made pancakes on his hot plate, misshapen and slightly burned, but Mason declared them delicious anyway. When Jennifer came to pick up Mason on Sunday evening, she lingered in the doorway of Tyler's apartment, taking in the shabby space with barely concealed pity. "Tyler, I've been thinking," she said carefully. Brad and I are getting serious. He's asked me to move in with him. His house has a great school district, a big backyard for Mason. I wanted to give you a heads up before I talk to the custody lawyer. Tyler felt the floor drop out from under him. You're moving? Where? Lake Oswego, Jennifer said, naming one of Portland's wealthiest suburbs. It's only 20 minutes from here, but the schools are so much better. And Brad has been amazing with Mason. He really stepped up in ways that... She stopped herself, but the implication hung in the air, in ways you didn't. You're changing the custody arrangement? Tyler asked, his voice tight. I'm not trying to take him away from you, Jennifer said, her tone defensive. But I need to do what's best for Mason. Brad can provide stability, opportunities. I know you're doing your best, Tyler, but this... She gestured at the studio apartment. This isn't what I want for our son half the time. I got evicted illegally, Tyler said, the words bursting out. The building I lived in before, the one where Mason had his own room, I was forced out by a real estate fraud scheme. I'm working with a lawyer now to hold the people responsible accountable. It wasn't my fault, Jennifer. It wasn't me failing. Jennifer's expression softened slightly, but skepticism remained. Tyler, you've had a lot of bad luck. I get that. But at some point, you have to take responsibility for where you are. Brad doesn't have bad luck. He makes choices that lead to success. That's the kind of example I want Mason to have. The unfairness of it crashed over Tyler like a wave. He'd been working 60-hour weeks, sending every spare dollar to child support, fighting against systems rigged against people without resources. But because he didn't have a Tesla and a house in Lake Oswego, he was seen as someone who made bad choices rather than someone who'd been systematically screwed over. I love my son, Tyler said quietly, and I'm fighting to build a better life for both of us. If you try to change custody, I'll fight that too. Jennifer sighed. I don't want to fight, Tyler. I want Mason to be happy and secure. Think about that. She left with Mason, who hugged Tyler tightly and made him promise to text him every day. Tyler stood in his empty apartment after they left, feeling the weight of everything crushing down on him. He was about to enter a legal battle with Derek Morrison, potentially face a custody challenge from Jennifer, and continue working a job that barely kept him housed and fed. For a moment, he considered backing out of helping Christine Morrison. He could call her, say he'd changed his mind, retreat back into survival mode, and avoid the complications. But then he thought about Hannah in that parking lot, shivering and terrified. He thought about the other families displaced by Derek's schemes, scattered across Portland, each one struggling alone and believing they'd somehow failed. No, Tyler decided. He was done with silence. He was done with passivity. If the system was rigged, then he'd work to expose it. If the fight was unfair, then he'd fight unfairly back. And if speaking up cost him everything, at least he'd know he'd stood for something. Tyler pulled out his laptop, a battered old Dell that took 5 minutes to boot up, and began documenting everything he remembered about his eviction. The dates, the notices, the conversations with his former landlord. He wrote for 3 hours, creating a timeline and gathering what documentation he still had. The eviction notice, his old lease, emails with the property management company. When he finally closed the laptop at midnight, his back ached from sitting on the floor and his eyes burned with fatigue. But he'd created something tangible, something that transformed his experience from private suffering into public evidence. His phone buzzed with a text from Mason. Love you, Dad. Thanks for the awesome weekend. Tyler smiled, his heart aching with love and fear and determination. Love you too, buddy, always. He lay down on the futon, staring at the water-stained ceiling, and made a promise to himself and to his son. He would fight. He would speak up. He would be someone Mason could be proud of, even if it meant risking everything he had left. Which, Tyler admitted in the darkness, wasn't much at all. But sometimes, he thought, having nothing left to lose was its own kind of freedom. On Monday morning, Tyler received a call from Patricia Alvarez, the lawyer Christine Morrison had hired. She had a voice that balanced professional warmth with no-nonsense efficiency, the tone of someone who'd fought many battles and won enough to stay confident. "Mr. Bennett, thank you for agreeing to help with this case," Patricia said. "I've reviewed the documents, Mrs. Morrison provided, and I believe we have grounds for both civil and criminal complaints against Derek Morrison. However, I need to be transparent with you about what this process entails." Tyler sat at a coffee shop near Powell Boulevard, nursing his 5th cup of the day. His delivery app temporarily paused. "I'm listening." "First, this will take time. Real estate fraud cases are complex, especially when the perpetrator has structured their activities to operate in legal gray areas. We're looking at months of investigation, document gathering and interviews, before we can even file formal charges. Second, Derek Morrison will fight back. He has resources, and he will use them to discredit anyone who speaks against him. That means your personal life, your finances, your history, everything becomes fair game for scrutiny. "I don't have much to scrutinize," Tyler said dryly. "Divorced, broke, working deliveries. Not a lot of skeletons in that closet." "Everyone has vulnerabilities," Patricia said gently. "I'm not trying to discourage you. I'm trying to prepare you. Third, there's no guarantee of financial compensation, even if we win. Criminal cases can result in fines and imprisonment, but civil damages require separate litigation. You might spend a year helping to build a case and end up with nothing but the satisfaction of seeing Morrison held accountable." Tyler thought about that satisfaction, about Derek Morrison in a courtroom, facing the people he'd harmed. It felt worth it, even without money attached. "What do you need from me?" "Everything you can remember about your eviction. Documents, correspondence, timelines. I also want to introduce you to someone from the Portland Tenants United organization. They've been tracking displacement patterns in gentrifying neighborhoods for years. Your case fits a pattern they've documented." "When do we start?" "How about this Wednesday? Can you come to my office in the Pearl District? I'll have representatives from the tenant organization there as well." Tyler checked his calendar, empty except for delivery shifts he could reschedule. "I'll be there." "Thank you, Mr. Bennett, truly. Victims of housing fraud rarely have the courage to speak up. You're doing something important." After the call, Tyler sat for a long time, watching the rain streak down the coffee shop window, the December gloom settling over the city like a familiar blanket. Portland in winter was a study in gray. Gray skies, gray rain, gray moods. But Tyler felt something else stirring beneath the monotone landscape, a sense of purpose that had been absent for too long. He spent the next 2 days preparing for the meeting, gathering every piece of documentation related to his eviction. He contacted his former landlord, Mrs. Chen, an elderly woman who'd owned the Hawthorne Boulevard building for 20 years before selling. She was reluctant to talk at first, but when Tyler explained what he was investigating, her tone changed. "I didn't want to sell," Mrs. Chen admitted over the phone. "But this man, this Derek Morrison, he approached me with investors who offered 20% above market value. He said the building needed modernization, that I was sitting on untapped potential. I trusted him because he seemed so professional, so knowledgeable. He handled the entire transaction, connected me with the buyers, arranged everything. After the sale went through, I heard about the evictions. I felt terrible, Mr. Bennett. I asked Derek about it, and he said it was necessary for renovations, that the tenants would be able to return after construction. But that never happened, did it?" "No, Mrs. Chen. The building was minimally renovated, and the rents tripled. None of us could afford to come back." "I'm so sorry," she said, her voice breaking. "I'm an old woman. I needed to retire to simplify my life. Derek made it sound like I was doing the right thing, like I was being smart. I didn't realize I was being used to hurt people." "Would you be willing to talk to my lawyer?" Tyler asked. "Would you be willing to explain how Derek orchestrated the sale?" There was a long pause. "Yes," Mrs. Chen finally said. "Yes, I will. It's the least I can do." Tyler added Mrs. Chen to the list of potential witnesses and continued his preparation. By Wednesday morning, he had a folder nearly as thick as the one Hannah had compiled, filled with evidence of his displacement and its aftermath. Medical bills from the stress-induced high blood pressure he'd developed, documentation of Mason's school transfer, records of the security deposit he'd never recovered. Patricia Alvarez's office occupied the third floor of a renovated warehouse in the Pearl District, one of Portland's most successfully gentrified neighborhoods. The irony wasn't lost on Tyler as he rode the elevator up, surrounded by exposed brick and industrial chic design that had probably displaced working-class residents a decade ago. The conference room held 4 people when Tyler arrived. Patricia, a black woman in her 50s with gray-streaked hair and sharp eyes. 2 representatives from Portland Tenants United, a young Asian woman named Keiko Tanaka and a middle-aged white man named Robert Hayes, and Christine Morrison, looking exhausted and 10 years older than when Tyler had last seen her. "Mr. Bennett, thank you for coming," Patricia said, gesturing to a chair. "We've been reviewing your documentation. It's very thorough." "I had a lot of time to be thorough," Tyler said, sitting down. Keiko leaned forward, her expression intense. "Mr. Bennett, your case is the 7th we've identified that connects directly to Derek Morrison in the past 18 months. The pattern is clear. He identifies buildings in appreciating neighborhoods, approaches elderly or financially stressed landlords with offers from his investor network, facilitates sales with promises of renovation necessity, then coordinates mass evictions using technically legal justifications. The displaced tenants scatter, usually without resources to fight back legally, and the buildings are minimally upgraded before being rented at rates that price out the original community. It's economic cleansing," Robert added bluntly. "That's what we call it. The systematic removal of lower-income and working-class people from neighborhoods to make room for wealthier residents. Derek Morrison is just one operator in a larger system, but he's been particularly aggressive." Tyler felt a cold anger settling in his chest. "How many families are we talking about?" "From the buildings we've traced to Morrison's involvement? Approximately 80 to 90 families in the past 2 years, Keiko said. "But those are just the ones we can directly connect. The actual number is likely higher." "Jesus," Tyler muttered. Christine spoke for the first time, her voice raw. "I've been going through Derek's files every night. He keeps detailed records. He's proud of what he's doing. He sees himself as a visionary, someone who's optimizing the Portland housing market. He doesn't see people. He sees profit margins and efficiency metrics." "How is Hannah?" Tyler asked. "Still in Seattle. I'm going to bring her back this weekend. I have a restraining order now, and I've rented a small apartment in St. John's. It's not much, but it's away from Derek." Christine's eyes filled with tears. "I keep thinking about all the times he came home celebrating a big deal, and I was just happy we could pay bills comfortably. I never asked how. I never wanted to know." Patricia placed a hand on Christine's shoulder, then turned to Tyler. "Mr. Bennett, here's what we're proposing. We're filing a complaint with the district attorney's office alleging real estate fraud, tenant harassment, and conspiracy to commit fraud. We're also preparing a civil lawsuit on behalf of displaced tenants, with you as the lead plaintiff. We have the documents Hannah discovered. We have testimony from Mrs. Chen about how Derek manipulated the sale, and we have your story as a victim. Combined with the pattern Keiko and Robert have documented, we have a strong case." "What about Derek's connections?" Tyler asked. "His resources?" "He has them," Patricia acknowledged. "He's already hired a prominent defense attorney, and he's been calling in favors from people in the real estate industry. But we have something more powerful. We have the truth, and we have victims willing to speak it. The local media is also interested. There's a journalist from the Oregonian who's been investigating displacement patterns. I've shared some preliminary information with her, and she wants to interview you." Tyler's stomach clenched. "Interview? Like, publicly?" "Your name would be published," Patricia said. "Your story would be told. I know that's frightening, but public pressure is often what moves these cases forward. When people see faces and hear stories rather than just statistics, things change." Tyler thought about Mason, about how his son would feel seeing his father's struggles detailed in a newspaper. He thought about Jennifer and Brad in their Lake Oswego house, reading about Tyler's eviction and poverty. The humiliation was almost physical, a burning sensation in his chest. But he also thought about the 80 to 90 families Keiko had mentioned, about Hannah shivering in a parking lot, about Mrs. Chen's guilt-ridden voice admitting she'd been manipulated. If his humiliation could shine light on Morrison's operation, if his story could give others courage to speak up, wasn't that worth it? "I'll do the interview," Tyler said. The meeting continued for another hour, with Patricia outlining the legal strategy and timeline. Robert and Keiko provided contact information for other displaced tenants they'd been working with, people who might be willing to join the lawsuit. Christine shared more details about Derek's business structure, his investor connections, his methods of operation. As they prepared to adjourn, Patricia pulled out one more document. "There's something else you should know. Derek Morrison has filed a counter-complaint against Christine and Hannah, alleging theft of proprietary business documents and defamation. He's claiming that Christine orchestrated this entire situation as retaliation for a failing marriage." Christine laughed bitterly. "Of course he did. He's rewriting the narrative. He's making himself the victim." "Can he do that?" Tyler asked. "He can try," Patricia said. "But his claims are weak. Hannah taking documents from his office is arguably theft, but she's a minor, and the documents evidence criminal activity. Defamation requires false statements, and everything we're saying is backed by documentation. Still, it means Christine is now facing legal action as well. Derek is trying to make this expensive and painful for everyone involved, hoping we'll back down." "I'm not backing down," Christine said firmly. "He threatened my daughter. He destroyed families for profit. I don't care what it costs me. I'm seeing this through." Tyler felt a surge of respect for this woman he barely knew, this nurse who could have chosen comfortable denial, but instead had chosen painful truth. "I'm with you," he said, "whatever it takes." After the meeting, Tyler and Christine walked out of the building together, standing under the overhang as rain poured down on the Pearl District's trendy streets. "This is going to get uglier," Christine said quietly. "Derek doesn't lose. He doesn't know how." "Then it's time he learned," Tyler replied. The interview with the Oregonian journalist, Amanda Wu, took place 2 days later at a different coffee shop, this one in southeast Portland near the Hawthorne district. Amanda was in her early 30s, with short hair and an intensity that reminded Tyler of Keiko from the tenants organization. She recorded their conversation on her phone while taking notes on a laptop. "Tell me everything," she said. "Start with when you lived in the Hawthorne building." Tyler talked for 90 minutes, describing his life before the eviction, the mechanic job he'd loved, his apartment where Mason had his own room, the community he'd been part of in the building. He talked about the sudden sale announcement, the 30-day eviction notice citing extensive renovations, the loss of his security deposit. He described the scramble to find affordable housing, the way his life had contracted and diminished. "And you had no idea at the time that this was part of a larger pattern?" Amanda asked. "None. I thought I was just unlucky. I blame myself for not having more savings, for not fighting harder. It wasn't until I met Hannah Mitchell and saw those documents that I understood what had really happened." Amanda's eyes lit up at the mention of Hannah, the daughter. Tell me about her." Tyler chose his words carefully, wanting to protect Hannah's privacy while acknowledging her role. She's a 9-year-old kid who was brave enough to recognize wrongdoing and speak up about it, even though it meant breaking apart her family. She's the hero in this story. And her mother, Christine Morrison? She's another hero. She could have looked the other way, protected her marriage, maintained her lifestyle. Instead, she chose to stand with her daughter and confront the truth. Amanda typed rapidly. "What do you want to come from this? From going public? From the lawsuit?" Tyler considered the question. "I want accountability. I want Derek Morrison and people like him to understand that families aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet, that displacement isn't just an efficiency metric. Every eviction is a life disrupted, a kid changing schools, a community broken apart. I want that to matter, and I want other people who've been displaced to know they're not alone, that it wasn't their fault." "Do you think you'll win?" "I have no idea," Tyler said honestly. "But I know I'll regret it forever if I don't try." The article published the following Sunday sprawled across the front page of the Oregonian's Metro section. "Real estate agent accused of systematic displacement scheme. Families speak out about alleged fraud." Nas Tyler's photo accompanied the story. He'd worn his only button-down shirt for the picture, trying to look respectable rather than desperate, along with images of the Hawthorne building and a professional headshot of Derek Morrison that had probably come from his real estate website. Amanda had written powerfully, weaving Tyler's personal story with the broader pattern of displacement, including quotes from Keiko and Robert about economic cleansing, and ending with Derek Morrison's lawyer's denial of all allegations. The lawyer had called the accusations baseless attacks by disgruntled ex-tenants and a vindictive ex-wife, and promised vigorous legal action against these defamatory claims. Tyler's phone exploded with notifications throughout Sunday. Text messages from former neighbors at the Hawthorne building who'd seen the article, calls from other displaced tenants asking how to join the lawsuit, messages of support from strangers, and a few hateful ones accusing him of being a freeloader looking for a payday. Mason called too, his young voice confused. "Dad, Jacob's mom showed me an article with your picture in it. It says you got kicked out of our old apartment. Why didn't you tell me it wasn't your fault?" Tyler's heart broke at the question, at the implication that Mason had spent months believing his father had failed them through incompetence rather than victimization. "I didn't understand it myself, buddy. I thought it was my fault too. But I learned the truth recently and now I'm trying to fix it." "Are you gonna be famous?" Mason asked, the concern in his voice shifting to something like excitement. "I don't think so," Tyler laughed. "But maybe we can make some things better for other families." Jennifer called later that evening, her voice tight. "Tyler, Brad showed me the article. Why didn't you tell me about any of this? About the lawsuit, the investigation?" "Would you have believed me if I had?" Tyler asked. "Or would you have thought I was making excuses?" Silence. Then, "I don't know, maybe." "Tyler, this changes things. If what the article says is true, if you really were illegally evicted..." "It is true, Jennifer, all of it." "Then I'm putting the custody modification on hold. I'm not saying Brad and I won't move forward eventually, but I need to see how this plays out. Mason deserves to know his father is fighting for something, not just drifting." It wasn't a ringing endorsement, but it was something. Tyler thanked her and hung up, feeling like he'd gained a small foothold in the cliff face he'd been clinging to for 2 years. The district attorney's office contacted Patricia Alvarez 3 days after the article published, requesting a meeting to review the evidence against Derek Morrison. It was the breakthrough they'd been hoping for. Public attention forcing official action. Tyler took an afternoon off from deliveries to attend the meeting at the Multnomah County District Attorney's office downtown. The building was imposing gray concrete, filled with harried prosecutors juggling too many cases. The assistant district attorney assigned to review their complaint was named Jordan Lewis, a woman in her 40s with tired eyes and a stack of files on her desk that suggested she was perpetually overworked. "I'll be honest with you," Jordan said after reviewing their evidence. "Real estate fraud cases are resource-intensive and difficult to prosecute. Morrison has structured his activities carefully. He's not directly evicting anyone, he's facilitating transactions and advising property owners. That creates layers of liability that complicate criminal charges." "So he gets away with it?" Tyler asked, frustration bleeding into his voice. "I didn't say that," Jordan replied. "I said it's complicated, but the pattern you've documented, combined with the communications in Morrison's files, suggest conspiracy and intent to defraud. If we can prove he knowingly misrepresented property conditions to facilitate unnecessary evictions, that's fraud. If we can show he profited from those misrepresentations through commissions and kickbacks, that strengthens the case." Patricia leaned forward. "What do you need from us?" "More victims willing to testify, more documentation, and ideally, someone from Morrison's investor network willing to flip. If we can get one of his partners to confirm that Morrison explicitly pitched this as a displacement strategy for profit, we have him." "We're working on it," Patricia said. Over the next month, the case built momentum. Keiko and Robert from Portland Tenants United identified 12 more families willing to join the civil lawsuit. 3 landlords came forward, admitting they'd been pressured by Morrison to sell buildings under false pretenses. And crucially, one of Morrison's investor partners, a man named Vincent Reeves, who'd had a falling out with Derek over profit splits, agreed to cooperate with the district attorney's office in exchange for immunity. Tyler spent his limited free time between deliveries, giving depositions, meeting with other victims, and coordinating with Patricia's legal team. The work was exhausting, but it felt purposeful in a way nothing had since he'd lost his mechanic job. He was building something, contributing to something larger than his own survival. Hannah returned from Seattle in early January, and Christine arranged for Tyler to meet with her at a neutral location, a public library in the St. John's neighborhood where Christine had rented her new apartment. Hannah looked older somehow, her eyes carrying a weight that hadn't been there 2 months ago. "How are you holding up?" Tyler asked, as they sat in the library's quiet reading area. "Okay, I guess," Hannah said. "Kids at school found out about the news articles. Some of them are mean about it. They say my family is trash, that my mom is a gold digger who's trying to steal my stepdad's money." "Kids repeat what they hear adults say," Tyler said gently. "It doesn't make it true. You and your mom are the bravest people I know." "Do you think Derek will go to jail?" Hannah asked. "I don't know, I hope so. But even if he doesn't, everyone knows the truth now. He can't keep doing what he was doing. That's because of you, Hannah. You saved a lot of families by speaking up." Hannah considered this, then pulled a folded piece of paper from her pocket. "I drew this for you. It's you and your motorcycle. I tried to make it look cool." Tyler unfolded the drawing, a child's rendering of a figure on a motorcycle, exaggerated and heroic looking, with the word hero written in crayon across the top. His throat tightened with emotion. "This is amazing," he said. "Can I keep it?" Hannah nodded, smiling for the first time. "You helped me when I was scared. That makes you a hero." Tyler kept that drawing folded in his wallet, pulling it out during difficult moments as a reminder of why he was fighting. It became his talisman, more valuable than any legal document. February brought a cold snap to Portland, with temperatures dropping into the teens and ice coating the streets. Tyler's delivery work became treacherous, his motorcycle slipping on a black ice as he navigated the frozen city. He invested in studded tires he couldn't afford and added layers of thermal clothing, but the cold still penetrated, leaving him stiff and aching after each shift. The legal battle intensified as Derek Morrison's defense strategy became clear: attack the credibility of everyone involved. His lawyers filed motions to dismiss the criminal charges, arguing insufficient evidence of criminal intent. They deposed Tyler for 8 hours, questioning every aspect of his life: his divorce, his finances, his employment history, his relationship with his son. They implied he was an opportunist, a failure looking to blame others for his own poor choices. Tyler sat through it with gritted teeth, answering questions, while Derek's attorney, a silver-haired man named Richard Kensington, tried to provoke him into angry outbursts that would undermine his credibility. "Mr. Bennett, isn't it true that you've struggled with financial management throughout your adult life?" Kensington asked, his tone dripping with condescension. "I've struggled financially, yes," Tyler replied evenly. "Because I was illegally evicted and lost my job when my employer closed, not because of poor management. Isn't it true that your ex-wife sought custody modification because she deemed you an inadequate provider for your son?" Tyler's jaw clenched. "She postponed that modification after learning about the illegal eviction. She recognized I'd been harmed by your client's fraud. Or perhaps she felt pressured by negative publicity to appear supportive," Patricia interjected. "Counsel is speculating. Mr. Bennett can't speak to his ex-wife's motivations." The deposition continued in this vein for hours, but Tyler held firm. He'd spent 2 years internalizing shame about his circumstances, but the investigation had reframed everything. He wasn't a failure. He was a victim of systematic exploitation. That distinction mattered. Christine's deposition was even more brutal. Derek's lawyers painted her as a vindictive ex-wife, manipulating her daughter to destroy a successful man. They questioned her nursing competency, her parenting, her financial dependency on Derek during their marriage. They suggested she'd always been jealous of Derek's success, that the divorce was about greed rather than principle. Christine emerged from her deposition shaking and tearful, but resolute. "They can't make me doubt what I know," she told Tyler and Patricia afterward. "I saw the evidence. I know what Derek did. They can attack me all they want, but they can't change the truth." The civil lawsuit expanded to include 17 plaintiff families, each with their own story of displacement and hardship. Patricia organized group meetings where people shared experiences, finding solidarity in collective victimization. Tyler met Carlos and Diana Hernandez, who'd been evicted from a northeast Portland building where they'd lived for 15 years, forcing their 3 children to change schools. He met June Wallace, an elderly woman on a fixed income who'd been pushed out of the apartment where she'd lived for 2 decades, ending up in a subsidized housing complex far from her church and community. Each story was a variation on the same theme: lives disrupted, communities scattered, dignity stripped away, all to maximize profit margins. "We're not numbers," June said at one meeting, her voice quavering with age and emotion. "We're people. We had lives, histories, neighborhoods. That should count for something." "It does count," Tyler assured her. "That's why we're fighting." The criminal case progressed slowly, as Jordan Lewis had warned. The district attorney's office built their case methodically, using Vincent Reeves' testimony to establish Derek's intent and methods. Reeves described meetings where Derek explicitly outlined his displacement optimization strategy, targeting buildings with elderly landlords and vulnerable tenants. He provided emails where Derek celebrated successful evictions, referring to displaced families as inventory clearing and portfolio optimization. The evidence was damning, but Derek's defense team countered with character witnesses, prominent Portland business figures who praised Derek's professionalism and integrity. Real estate agents who testified that his practices were standard industry behavior. A parade of people willing to overlook systematic cruelty in favor of maintaining business relationships. This is how systems protect themselves, Keiko explained to Tyler one evening as they reviewed trial preparation materials. They close ranks around people with power and resources. They normalize exploitation by calling it business practices. They make victims prove they deserve justice rather than making perpetrators prove their innocence. So how do we win? Tyler asked. By refusing to be silent, by making the costs of their protection higher than the costs of accountability, by showing judges and juries that real people suffered real harm, by being loud, persistent, and impossible to ignore. In March, the Oregonian published a follow-up article detailing the expanded civil lawsuit and the pending criminal charges. Amanda Wu had continued investigating, uncovering additional buildings connected to Derek's network, estimating that over 150 families had been displaced in his operations over 4 years. The article included photographs of plaintiff families, including Tyler and Mason, standing outside their old Hawthorne building, looking up at the renovated facade they could no longer afford to access. That photograph went viral on social media, becoming a symbol of Portland's housing crisis and gentrification struggles. Housing advocacy organizations used it in campaigns. Progressive politicians referenced it in speeches about tenant protections. Tyler found himself inadvertently becoming a public face for displacement issues, invited to speak at city council meetings and community forums. He was terrified of public speaking, but Patricia coached him. "Just tell your story," she said. "That's all anyone wants to hear. Your truth." At a packed city council meeting in late March, Tyler stood at the podium looking out at hundreds of faces, activists, journalists, concerned citizens, and a few hostile real estate industry representatives. "My name is Tyler Bennett," he began, his voice unsteady. 2 years ago, I was a mechanic with a decent apartment where my son had his own room. Today, I'm a delivery driver living in a studio, fighting to maintain custody of that same son. What changed? I was illegally evicted as part of a profit scheme that treated families like obstacles. I'm not here asking for sympathy. I'm here demanding accountability. What happened to me and over 100 other families wasn't bad luck or market forces. It was calculated exploitation. And it will keep happening unless we demand better, unless we say that housing is about human dignity, not just investment returns. The room erupted in applause, though Tyler noticed several well-dressed people near the back walking out. He didn't care. For the first time in 2 years, he'd spoken his truth to power, and it felt like breathing after being underwater. Mason watched a video of the speech that Jennifer sent him, and when Tyler picked him up for their custody weekend, his son hugged him tighter than usual. "You were really brave, Dad," Mason said. "Jacob's mom said you're fighting for what's right." "I'm trying, buddy. That's all any of us can do." April brought the preliminary hearing for the criminal charges against Derek Morrison. Jordan Lewis presented evidence of fraud, conspiracy, and tenant harassment. Derek's defense team argued for dismissal, claiming insufficient evidence of criminal intent. The judge, a stern woman named Patricia Hammond, listened to both sides before ruling. "While I have concerns about some aspects of the state's case," Judge Hammond said, "there is sufficient evidence to proceed to trial. The defendant's motions to dismiss are denied. We'll proceed with a trial date." It was a victory, but a qualified one. The trial wouldn't begin until September, meaning 6 more months of legal limbo, 6 more months of depositions, document reviews, and mounting legal costs. Patricia was working pro bono for the plaintiffs, but the process itself consumed time and emotional energy Tyler struggled to spare. His delivery income had dropped as he missed shifts for legal obligations. He was behind on rent, surviving on credit cards he had no plan to repay. Jennifer's temporary custody modification pause wouldn't last forever, especially if she saw him spiraling financially again. "I don't know how much longer I can do this," Tyler admitted to Christine during a coffee meeting in May. "I'm barely holding on." "I know," Christine said. She looked exhausted too, working double shifts as a nurse to pay for her apartment and legal fees, navigating Hannah's ongoing struggles at school, managing the emotional toll of divorcing someone she'd trusted. But we're so close. The trial is set. Vincent Reeves is testifying. We have 17 families willing to take the stand. Derek's lawyers are starting to panic. Richard Kensington has been reaching out about settlement discussions. Settlement? Tyler perked up. What kind of settlement? Derek pays damages to the plaintiffs in the civil case and accepts some professional sanctions, loss of his real estate license, probation, community service, but no jail time, no criminal conviction. That's bullshit, Tyler said flatly. He destroys people's lives and gets a slap on the wrist. It's pragmatic, Christine said. Trials are uncertain, juries are unpredictable. A settlement guarantees compensation for victims and ensures Derek can't continue his business. It's not perfect justice, but it's tangible. Tyler shook his head. I didn't go through all this for tangible. I went through this for accountability. If Derek doesn't face criminal consequences, what message does that send? That rich people can buy their way out of anything? Sometimes that's true, Christine said quietly. Sometimes the system is too broken to deliver perfect justice. We have to decide if imperfect justice is better than risking complete loss at trial. Tyler thought about the 17 families, about June Wallace and the Hernandez children and everyone else whose lives had been disrupted. Would they prefer guaranteed compensation or the uncertain possibility of watching Derek Morrison convicted? Let's vote, Tyler said. Let all the plaintiffs decide together. This isn't just my case anymore. Everyone affected should have a say. Patricia organized a meeting of all 17 plaintiff families in early June. They gathered in a community center in North Portland, filling a meeting room with adults and children, a cross-section of the city's working-class population. Patricia presented Derek's settlement offer. $200,000 divided among the plaintiffs, loss of Derek's real estate license for 5 years, 3 years of probation, and 500 hours of community service with housing advocacy organizations. It's not enough, Carlos Hernandez said immediately. 200,000 split 17 ways? That's less than 12,000 per family. We lost more than that in moving costs, lost wages, security deposits. It's guaranteed, Patricia countered. If we go to trial and lose, you get nothing, and criminal trials are separate from civil damages. Even if Derek is convicted criminally, you'd still have to pursue separate civil litigation for financial compensation, which could take years. What about jail? June Wallace asked. Will he serve time for what he did? Not under this settlement, Patricia said. He'd plead to reduce charges with no jail time. The criminal case would be resolved. The room erupted in argument. Some families wanted the certainty of settlement. Others wanted the vindication of a trial. Tyler listened to the debate, feeling the weight of competing perspectives. Finally, he stood. Can I say something? The room quieted. Tyler had become the de facto leader of the plaintiff group, the first to speak out, the public face of their collective struggle. I've thought a lot about what justice means, Tyler said. For 2 years, I believed my eviction was my fault, that my financial struggles reflected personal failure. This case taught me that wasn't true, that I was part of a larger pattern of exploitation, that knowledge has value beyond money. But what Derek did wasn't just wrong, it was criminal. He systematically harmed families for profit. If we accept this settlement, we're saying that crime pays as long as you can afford the penalty. We're telling other operators like Derek that the worst consequence is losing your license and paying a fine. Is that the message we want to send? But we need the money, Diana Hernandez said, her voice desperate. Our kids are struggling. We're struggling. $12,000 could stabilize us. I understand, Tyler said, and I won't judge anyone who votes for settlement, but I'm voting for trial. I'm voting to put Derek Morrison on a witness stand and make him answer for what he did. I'm voting for the possibility of criminal conviction, even if it's risky, because some things matter more than certainty. The vote was close. 9 families voted for settlement, 8 for trial. Patricia explained that the decision had to be unanimous for settlement. Everyone had to agree, or they'd proceed to trial. Then we're going to trial, Patricia said. Everyone prepare yourselves. This is going to be hard. Summer in Portland brought relief from the rain, replacing it with warm sunshine and the smell of blooming roses. Tyler worked extended hours during the good weather, rebuilding his finances in preparation for the trial. He'd moved past fear into something like acceptance. Whatever happened, he'd know he'd fought with everything he had. Mason turned 9 in July, and Tyler threw him a birthday party at a local park, inviting a few of Mason's friends. Jennifer and Brad attended, and Tyler felt the shift in their dynamic. Jennifer no longer looked at him with pity or disappointment. She looked at him with something closer to respect. "You've changed," she said, as they watched Mason play soccer with his friends. "You're different than you were during our marriage." "How so?" Tyler asked. "You're fighting for something. You're standing up. When we were married, you were so passive, always accepting what life handed you. It was frustrating. But now, you're being a man our son can be proud of." It was the kindest thing she'd said to him in years, and Tyler felt emotion welling in his chest. "I'm trying." "I know," Jennifer said, "and I want you to know, Brad and I have decided not to pursue custody modification. Whatever happens with this trial, Mason needs both his parents. You've proven you're someone worth having in his life." Tyler nodded, unable to speak past the lump in his throat. They stood together in the summer sun, divorced but united in loving the boy racing across the grass, and Tyler felt something like peace. Hannah's 10th birthday came in August, and Christine invited Tyler to a small celebration at their St. John's apartment. Hannah had grown taller, her hair shorter, her demeanor more confident. She showed Tyler her room, decorated with posters and drawings, including the one she'd made of him on his motorcycle, now framed and hanging over her desk. "Mum says the trial starts soon," Hannah said. "Are you scared?" "Terrified," Tyler admitted, "but also ready. Whatever happens, I know we did the right thing." "Derek's lawyer called my mum last week," Hannah said. "He said Derek wants to talk to me, wants to apologize." Mum said no way. "Your mum's protecting you," Tyler said. "You don't owe Derek anything, Hannah. Not forgiveness, not conversation, nothing." "I know," Hannah said. "But sometimes I wonder if I ruined his life by taking those papers." "You didn't ruin his life," Tyler said firmly. "You exposed his choices. He ruined his own life by making those choices. That's on him, not you." The trial began on September 15th in Multnomah County Circuit Court. Judge Patricia Hammond presided, with Jordan Lewis prosecuting and Richard Kensington leading Derek's defense. The courtroom was packed with journalists, housing activists, and the plaintiff families. Derek Morrison sat at the defense table looking impeccable in a tailored suit, his expression calm and confident. He'd lost weight, his face more gaunt than in his professional photos, but he carried himself with the bearing of someone who'd never truly faced consequences for anything. Jury selection took 2 days, resulting in a panel of 12 Portlanders from diverse backgrounds, a mix of ages, races, professions. Tyler studied their faces, trying to imagine how they'd process the evidence, whether they'd see him and the other victims as credible or as opportunists. Jordan Lewis's opening statement was powerful, outlining Derek's systematic scheme with clarity and moral force. This case is about a man who looked at vulnerable families and saw profit opportunities, who manipulated elderly landlords and exploited legal loopholes to displace over 150 families from their homes, who laughed about families living in their cars while counting his commissions. Derek Morrison didn't break laws accidentally. He engineered a system to break laws profitably. Richard Kensington's opening was equally forceful. This case is about a successful businessman being punished for excellence. Derek Morrison helped property owners maximize their investments. He advised on legal transactions. Every eviction was processed through proper legal channels. Every tenant received required notice. What the prosecution calls a scheme is actually just effective business practice in a competitive market. And what they call victims are actually people looking for someone to blame for their own financial struggles. The trial proceeded methodically. Jordan called Vincent Reeves first, the investor who'd flipped on Derek. Reeves described meetings where Derek explicitly outlined his displacement strategy, showed emails where Derek celebrated evictions, detailed the profit-sharing arrangements. Under cross-examination, Kensington attacked Reeves' credibility, highlighting his criminal immunity deal and suggesting he was lying to save himself. Mrs. Chen testified next, describing how Derek had manipulated her into selling the Hawthorne building, how he'd promised minimal impact on tenants, how she'd later learned about the mass evictions. She wept on the stand, her guilt and regret palpable. Kensington suggested she was a confused elderly woman misremembering events, but her documentation and timeline corroborated every claim. Tyler testified on the fourth day, walking through his eviction experience while Jordan guided him with questions. He described his life before the displacement, the sudden notice, the scramble for housing, the financial and emotional toll. He showed the jury photographs of his old apartment with Mason's room, contrasted with photos of his current studio. He explained how he'd blamed himself for years before learning the truth. Kensington's cross-examination was aggressive. "Mr. Bennett, isn't it true you were struggling financially before your eviction?" "I was managing," Tyler said. "I had some debt from my divorce, but I was paying my rent on time." "Isn't it true your ex-wife sought custody modification because of your financial instability? She postponed that after learning about the illegal eviction. Or perhaps she felt pressured by your media campaign." "There was no media campaign," Tyler said, his voice hardening. "There was me telling the truth about what happened. If that's uncomfortable for people who profit from exploitation, that's their problem." Judge Hammond sustained Patricia's objection to Kensington's follow-up question, but the exchange had made Tyler's temper visible. He worried he'd damaged his credibility. Christine testified on day 5, describing her discovery of Derek's documents and her confrontation with him. She explained Hannah's fear, her own agonizing decision to leave her marriage, the ongoing impact on her daughter. Kensington painted her as a gold digger, suggesting she'd manufactured the crisis to justify a lucrative divorce. "Mrs. Morrison, isn't it true you're receiving substantial alimony from Mr. Morrison?" "I'm receiving temporary support while the divorce is finalized," Christine said. "But I'm working full-time as a nurse. I'm supporting myself." "But you stood to gain financially from destroying Mr. Morrison's reputation and business, didn't you?" "I stood to gain nothing except the safety of my daughter and the truth," Christine shot back. "I gave up a comfortable life to do the right thing. Can your client say the same?" The jury seemed to respond to Christine's authenticity, several members nodding as she spoke. The parade of plaintiff families continued through the second week. Carlos and Diana Hernandez described their children's struggles after displacement. June Wallace explained losing her community of 20 years. Each story was unique, but thematically consistent. Lives disrupted, stability destroyed, dignity stripped away. Derek's defense called character witnesses in week 3, business associates who praised his professionalism, real estate agents who defended his practices as standard industry behavior. They called expert witnesses who argued that gentrification was an economic force beyond any individual's control, that Derek was being scapegoated for market dynamics. But Jordan systematically dismantled these arguments, showing that Derek's actions went beyond market participation to market manipulation. The emails Vincent Reeves had provided were devastating, showing Derek's explicit intent and awareness that his actions harmed families. On the trial's final day, Derek Morrison took the stand. It was a risky move, but Kensington had apparently decided they needed Derek's personal denial to counter the documentary evidence. Derek was polished and confident, describing himself as a dedicated professional who helped property owners make sound investments. "I never intended to harm anyone," he said, looking directly at the jury. "I understand that evictions are difficult for tenants, but property owners have rights too. They have the right to maximize the value of their investments. I simply help them exercise those rights." Jordan Lewis approached for cross-examination with a stack of printed emails. "Mr. Morrison, is this an email from you to Vincent Reeves dated March 12th, 2023? I'd have to see it to confirm." Jordan handed him the document. Derek read it, his expression tightening. "What does the email say, Mr. Morrison?" "It's a business communication about a property acquisition. Please read the highlighted section to the jury." Derek hesitated. "It says, the Beaumont building is perfect for displacement optimization. Elderly tenants, rent-controlled units, appreciating neighborhood. We can clear the inventory in 60 days and flip the units for triple the current rate. Low-hanging fruit." You referred to human beings as inventory to be cleared, didn't you, Mr. Morrison? It's business terminology. I didn't mean. You also wrote in another email, and I quote, "Nothing sweeter than eviction day. That's when the profit becomes real." Did you write that, Mr. Morrison? Derek's composure cracked. "Out of context, that sounds. Did you write it?" "Yes, but no further questions." Closing arguments took place on a Friday in late September. Jordan Lewis summarized the evidence methodically, building a compelling narrative of deliberate, systematic exploitation. Derek Morrison knew exactly what he was doing. He documented it in his own words. He celebrated it. He profited from it. And over 150 families suffered because of it. This isn't about business practices. It's about criminal fraud and the willingness to harm vulnerable people for personal gain. Kensington's closing emphasized reasonable doubt and the complexity of real estate law. My client is guilty of being successful in a competitive field. He's guilty of using business terminology that sounds harsh, out of context. But he's not guilty of fraud. Every transaction was legal. Every eviction followed proper procedures. You cannot convict a man for being good at his job, even if the results are unfortunate for some people. The jury deliberated for 3 days. Tyler spent those days in a state of suspended anxiety, unable to work, unable to eat, checking his phone constantly for updates from Patricia. The wait was excruciating, every moment stretched, filled with catastrophic imaginings of acquittal and Derek walking free. On Tuesday afternoon, Tyler's phone rang. Patricia's name on the screen. "They have a verdict," she said. "Court reconvenes in an hour." Tyler made it to the courthouse in 40 minutes, finding the courtroom already packed. The plaintiff families filled several rows, Christine and Hannah sitting together near the front. Tyler slid into a seat beside them, and Hannah reached over to squeeze his hand. "Whatever happens," Christine whispered, "we told the truth." Judge Hammond entered, and everyone rose. The jury filed in, their expressions inscrutable. Tyler tried to read them, looking for signs of sympathy or hostility, but found only fatigue. "Has the jury reached a verdict?" Judge Hammond asked. The foreperson, a middle-aged black man who'd been a teacher, stood. "We have, Your Honor." "On the charge of conspiracy to commit real estate fraud, how do you find?" "We find the defendant guilty." The courtroom erupted. Tyler felt tears streaming down his face before he realized he was crying. Christine sobbed beside him, and Hannah buried her face in her mother's shoulder. Jordan Lewis smiled grimly, while Richard Kensington sat stone-faced beside Derek Morrison, who'd gone pale. "Order!" Judge Hammond commanded, banging her gavel. "We still have additional charges." The jury found Derek guilty on 4 of 6 charges: conspiracy to commit fraud, tenant harassment, falsification of business records, and racketeering. They acquitted him on 2 charges related to specific properties where the evidence was less clear, but the guilty verdicts carried potential sentences totaling 15 to 20 years. Derek Morrison was remanded to custody pending sentencing, his bail revoked due to flight risk. As bailiffs led him away in handcuffs, he looked back at Christine and Hannah with an expression Tyler couldn't quite read: anger, betrayal, disbelief. Christine stared back unflinchingly, her arm around her daughter. Outside the courthouse, journalists swarmed the plaintiff families. Amanda Wu from the Oregonian was first, microphone extended toward Tyler. "Mr. Bennett, how do you feel about the verdict?" "Relieved," Tyler said, his voice hoarse. "Vindicated. Grateful that 12 strangers listened to our stories and recognized that what happened to us was wrong, that it was criminal. This verdict doesn't erase the harm, but it acknowledges it. That matters." "What do you want people to take away from this case?" Tyler thought about Hannah in that parking lot, about all the families scattered across Portland, about the system that had nearly swallowed them all. "I want people to understand that housing isn't just economics, it's human dignity. Every eviction is a family disrupted, a community broken. We can't let profit be the only value that matters. We have to hold people accountable when they treat human beings like obstacles to overcome." The verdict made national news. Major outlets picked up the story as an example of accountability in the housing crisis era. Tyler's interview went viral again, shared by housing advocates and progressive organizations. He received messages from displaced families across the country, from activists fighting similar battles, from people thanking him for speaking up. Derek Morrison's sentencing took place 6 weeks later. Judge Hammond listened to victim impact statements from Tyler, Christine, the Hernandez family, June Wallace, and a dozen other plaintiffs. Each testimony was a window into disrupted lives, financial struggles, lost communities. When it was Tyler's turn, he stood before the judge and looked at Derek Morrison, seeing a broken man where once a confident predator had sat. "You destroyed my life," Tyler said. "Or at least you tried to. You evicted me from my home. You destabilized my relationship with my son. You made me believe I was a failure. For 2 years I carried that shame. But I'm not the failure here. You are. You had intelligence, resources, opportunities, and you chose to use them to harm vulnerable people. That's the real failure. And while this conviction doesn't erase what you did to me and my family, it proves that truth matters, that accountability matters, that families like mine matter." That's enough. Judge Hammond sentenced Derek Morrison to 8 years in prison, with eligibility for parole after 5 years. She also ordered him to pay restitution totaling $1.4 million to displaced families and permanently revoked his real estate license. It wasn't the maximum sentence possible, but it was substantial, a clear message that exploitation carried real consequences. As Derek was led away to begin his sentence, Tyler felt something release in his chest, a weight he'd been carrying for so long he'd forgotten it was there. Justice wasn't perfect, but it was real. The civil lawsuit settled shortly after the criminal conviction, with Derek's insurance and seized assets providing compensation to the 17 plaintiff families. Tyler received $43,000, not enough to erase 2 years of financial struggle, but enough to stabilize, to rebuild, to imagine a future beyond mere survival. He used part of the money to rent a 2-bedroom apartment in the Montevilla neighborhood, close enough to Mason's school that his son could visit easily. He bought a used car to supplement his motorcycle, making deliveries easier in bad weather. He enrolled in online classes toward an associate's degree in automotive technology, thinking about eventually returning to mechanic work. But more importantly, he started volunteering with Portland Tenants United, using his experience to help other families facing eviction or displacement. He became a tenant rights advocate, speaking at community meetings, testifying before city council, helping people navigate the complex systems that had once defeated him. On a rainy Saturday in December, 1 year after he'd found Hannah in that parking lot, Tyler attended a celebration dinner at Rosie's Diner, organized by the plaintiff families. The same booth where he and Hannah had sat that first night now held a gathering of people who'd become friends through shared struggle. Christine and Hannah were there, both looking healthier and happier than Tyler had ever seen them. Christine had been promoted to a senior nursing position at Emmanuel Hospital, and Hannah was thriving at her new school, where her bravery had become a source of pride rather than shame. To Tyler Bennett, Carlos Hernandez said, raising his coffee mug in a toast, the most reluctant hero Portland ever had. To Hannah Mitchell, Tyler countered, the bravest kid I've ever met. To all of us, June Wallace added, for refusing to be silent. They toasted with coffee and hot chocolate, this unlikely coalition of displaced families who'd found strength in solidarity. As Tyler looked around the table at their faces, worn but determined, tired but hopeful, he felt something he hadn't felt in years: genuine happiness. After dinner, as people filtered out into the December rain, Tyler and Hannah stood under the diner's awning together. "You know what's weird," Hannah said. "A year ago, I was hiding in a parking lot, and I thought my life was ending, but actually it was kind of starting. The real version, not the fake one where everything looked okay but wasn't." "That's pretty wise for a 10-year-old, Tyler said. "I'm almost 11, Hannah corrected with a smile. "And I learned it from you. You could have just called the police that night and walked away, but you stayed. You helped. That changed everything." "You changed everything," Tyler said. "I was just along for the ride." "We changed it together," Hannah said. "That's how it works, right? People helping people?" Tyler thought about that, about the network of support that had carried him through the past year. Patricia Alvarez working pro bono, Keiko and Robert from Portland Tenants United providing guidance, Christine's courage in leaving her marriage, Mason's unwavering love, Jennifer's eventual respect, the jury of 12 strangers who'd listened and believed, Amanda Wu's journalism, the plaintiff families who'd stood together. "Yeah," Tyler said, "that's exactly how it works." As Hannah's mom called her to their car, she hugged Tyler tightly. "Thank you for being my hero," she whispered. "Thank you for being mine," Tyler whispered back. He watched them drive away, then walked to where his motorcycle was parked. The rain had intensified, typical Portland December weather, but Tyler didn't mind. He put on his helmet, started the engine, and rode through the city streets, past the neighborhoods where he delivered food, past the courthouse where justice had been served, past the old Hawthorne building where his previous life had ended and his current one had begun. The traffic light at the intersection turned green, and Tyler accelerated forward, not running from anything anymore, but moving towards something, a future built on truth, accountability, and the stubborn refusal to accept that people didn't matter. He thought about Hannah's question from a year ago, "Do you believe kids when they tell you things?" He'd answered honestly then, saying it depended. But now, having lived through the consequences of one little girl's brave truth-telling, he knew better. Yes, he would tell her now. "Yes, I believe you. Yes, your voice matters. Yes, speaking up changes things." And sometimes, Tyler thought, as he rode through the December rain, a truth discovered by a little girl in her stepfather's office was enough to change everything. Not just for a struggling motorcyclist or a frightened child, but for over 100 families. a city's conversation about housing justice, and the stubborn, persistent belief that accountability was possible, even when systems seemed designed to prevent it. The rain drummed against his helmet as Tyler Bennett rode home to his two-bedroom apartment where his son's room waited, where his future was being rebuilt one day at a time, where the hero's drawing hung framed on the wall, a reminder that sometimes the most important journeys begin in parking lots on cold December nights, when someone chooses to stop and help instead of riding past. And that choice, that simple human decision to see suffering and respond to it, was what changed everything.